And hello again, folks. So, for Magic this week, I've because I'm a little on a tight little timetable here. Between now when I go to work tomorrow, getting going in for 11. I'd have to be up by 9. I can't really do a video. I could do a video, but I'd be pressed for time for everything else. So it just makes more sense to get them out right now. I was like debating, like, do I just do another list? No, because then I even have to look up the list and stuff like that. Is there anything I can do just like straight off the top of my head, just for having something to put up? And yeah, I came up with this, and that is, what returning mechanics do you think we might see in Amonkhet? Now, the thing about Magic is I have no interest in Modern Masters at all. So, because I don't play Modern, I don't play Standard, I play Commander on a rare occasion, but I'm a casual tabletop limited player, sealed event kind of guy. I don't even draft. So for me, those kind of topics of discussion aren't really that interesting. I'm one of those Warthos guys. I love the lore. I love the story. I love big meaty creature. I love the spell. I love all the kind of just the fun nature of the game, plus the in-depth stories they can get from it. But what returning mechanics do you think we could see in Amonkhet? Now, when thinking on this, I had to think back on when we first saw returning mechanics come back. And I had to strain my head a little bit on that one. I think the first time we saw them actually come back was in Ravnica, the original one with Gruul. As far as I know, Gruul's ability was a return mechanic. Blood thirst or bloodshot or bloodthirst, it was blood something or other. Basically, deal damage and then that creature will come out with +1/+1 counters, or maybe an effect and +1/+1 counters. That was the first time we got that. Then another return mechanic that I remember, I think Laura and Eventide, Shadowmoor, Morningtide, I think they had something, I can't recall right off the top of my head, but it was whatever. Alara brought us cycling, or brought us back cycling, but we had more or less some mechanics that were, going on through there. That were unique to the plane. Zendikar brought back the kickers. Innistrad brought back flashback. Ravnica more or less had 10 all new keywords. Pretty certain anyway. Yeah, Blood Rush, I believe, was the name of that one, where you could play the Gruul as spells to pump each other up. Yeah, no, they all had new mechanics, as far as I recall. Excuse me, Theros. Oh, did Theros have new mechanics or returning mechanics? That's a good question. Give me 1 second. Let me check that real quick. Theros block. Theros. I don't think Theros had any returning mechanics. I know they had besides like the evergreen stuff. 1 second. Easy way to find out on here. So let's see here. Theros block. Mechanics. Let's try. Okay, gave me the block. Let me try the actual set. Theros, I don't think so. Cons also didn't have any returning mechanics, really. So actually, when it comes to the returning mechanics kind of thing, we aren't getting anywhere near as much of them as we used to. A lot of it is just kind of, unique to. There we go. Theros block mechanic. Okay. Scry reappeared. That was right. Scry reappeared. That was a big thing. And Scry's now become an evergreen mechanic, which means that it can appear in all sets and does. And now that I just thought about that, Tarkir had Rebound to come back. So Rebound came back. Then with Battle for Zendikar, it was the colorless mechanic came back. Landfall came back. Shadows over Innistrad. It was Madness, and then nothing unique came back for Kaladesh. But generally speaking, we get one return mechanic per block. Generally speaking, maybe two, depending how you decide to go about it. But generally speaking, it's one. So the question is, now that I've been dilly-dallying enough, what is that return mechanic possibly going to be? Well, I think you have two options here. One's you got to think maybe flavor-wise, and two, you got to think of the little we know and what we've seen from the set so far. Flavor-wise, I think something like Unearthed would be a good mechanic, or of something that lets you bring them back to the grave before exiling. But honestly, I don't know if that's a very likely one. We're not going to see Flashback again, at least not right now, because it just doesn't seem to. I don't think it fits with Amonkhet because first off, if you're gonna maybe have a somewhat graveyard centric set again, you gotta make it distinguished beside the just from flavor wise from Shadows over Innistrad or just Innistrad. But also, I don't know if Unearth works with like the Egyptian lore of the dead, being mummification, things along those lines. Of course, we need to find out how Amonkhet kind of functions as a society. But I think the other route to go with this is the -1/-1 counter, -1/-1 counter mechanics, because people seem to be getting this idea that -1/-1 counters will be a thing because of Liliana's +1 ability in her um, Planeswalker deck for card from the one translated from two of the translated abilities so far from it. Um, uh, Here's the thing: the Planeswalker deck, Planeswalkers seem to have some things in common. They do. They're not like 100% the same, and the Planeswalker deck Planeswalkers are usually a bit weaker than the actual ones from the set. But if we're to gleam from that card that -1/-1 counters will be a thing again, you got to think about the mechanics that utilize those. And there are three key mechanics that utilize -1/-1 counters. Two of them came from the Lorwyn Shadowmoor blocks, and then one of them came from Scars of Mirrodin. So the least likely one I see happening is Infect. Infect just has too many. First off, Infect is a bitch to play with and against because you have two forms of life tracking at that point. It's not it falls into the category of like Annihilator, where if you're using it, it's great. If you're having it used against you, it sucks. It is terrible to play against. There was so many problems that came with that mechanic that Wizards R&D kind of just like, yeah, we don't have plans anytime in the future to bring it back. So I say Infect's right out. And plus, Infect just doesn't make sense for this. There doesn't seem to be any sort of infection spreading on Amonkhet from the little we can go from that. Though, like a Phyrexian, can you imagine this combo? A Phyrexian Sliver Eldrazi God thing going on. Like, get all the infectious kind of, let's go just in Phyrexian Eldrazi corrupts a god of either Theros or Amonkhet. Can you imagine that? That'd be horrifying. I still hate the fact we didn't get like a transforming dragon Eldrazi and Shadows over Innistrad. That would have been freaky as that would have been awesome to see. Like a meld dragon. That would have been also real. Can you imagine an Eldrazi meld dragon? That would have been freaky, and that would have been awesome. But whatever. Anyway, so I mean, Infect's right out. The other two, though, I think are the most likely ones. Wither is actually, if you really want my opinion, I think Persist is more likely than Wither, simply because Persist has a reanimator effect to it, where you put the -1/-1 counter on the card, or it comes back with a -1 counter on it, -1/-1. And that seems to make more sense. Like zombies, I could see them having that on this plane. And maybe a couple of like spirits and zombies having that effect. They come back weaker, but maybe with an added effect. Wither, I could see as a possible second choice for the -1 counter mechanic, simply because Wither is by the touch. Zombies could have a touch. Bolas's touch is very is one of his key abilities. He can just destroy people's minds just by touching them, corrupt them, but just by touching them. Make them wither by touching them. Now, I don't think he's going to have a wither-like effect. I think his touch is still going to be a big thing. But I don't know how Bolas is going to really work in this set right now. He's going to be awesome. He's going to be he's going to be a powerhouse if you can get him out, because even the current Bolas, which is 8 mana, four of that is colored, 2 of it is 2 colors. Once you get him out there, you are kind of dominating the field a bit, because very few Planeswalkers have just destroy thing, not the creature. Not anything else, just destroy non-land thing. Very few Planeswalkers have that ability. The only other Planeswalkers I know right off the top of my head that have such abilities, I believe, are Garruk of the Chainbell. Honestly, yeah, I think he's the only other one who has that. It's a very rare ability to print on Planeswalker cards to just destroy anything on the field minus a land. Even Karn, who exiles stuff, doesn't quite have that ability. So, yeah. Overall, though, yeah, that's my thoughts on the returning mechanics. I think Unearth's a likely candidate because of its flavor. But I think you'd be more on along the lines of making like a modification mechanic. I think the -1 counter mechanic is a possibility as well. Persist is actually a very likely one now that I think about it harder. It makes the most sense. They come back weaker, but maybe with an added effect, so who knows. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll be back. Well, technically, I'll be back in a little bit with Who Would Win because I'm actually doing the Who Would Win this week after these videos. Also, PAX East is happening this weekend. I was unaware of that, which means we are probably going to get some Amonkhet spoilers coming out of there. So I will be keeping an eye out on PAX East going on there. And I think I lagged there just a little bit, and then boom, and then I'll be keeping my eye out on PAX East to see if anything comes out of there. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. See you folks next time. And if you have requests for anything I do on the channel, who wins, so forth and so on, please put it in the comments below. I get to it at some point. I will. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in a little bit.